Hello and welcome to episode 224 of Sutton Impact Family Style. I know it's a lot of episodes. So,
It's a lot of episodes.
quick shout out to everyone that's been listening from day one and anyone that's joined since. We really appreciate it. And again, just a reminder in the beginning of the show.
Good things about our supporters.
Yeah. But again, if you want to rate us on iTunes, give us that even if it just really helps. Helps push you up the algorithm and then more people see the show and hopefully more people start watching. And again, we always want more people to support us on the Patreon, which keeps the lights on, as they say.
Well, lots to talk about this week, Jay. Where do you want to start?
Well, I think we have to start with the most important story. Giannis and Chris Paul are going to play in the NBA Finals, probably. At least Chris Paul for sure. And I think Giannis will play eventually. So I think, first to the losers. The Clippers had no Kawhi. And I feel like they're in a weird place because there's already talk of Kawhi going to Dallas to team up with Luka, or Kawhi taking his game on the road. I don't really know what you do with that team.
I don't know either. I mean, it's, even if they won a championship, people would still care more about the Lakers.
Oh, without a doubt.
And it just makes it a really hard place to be,
Yeah.
It just does. I mean, and if the Mets won the World Series in baseball, the Yankees just say, well, we've done it 27 times. And you're never going to be the Yankees in New York. And you're never going to be anything else. Like the Angels will never eclipse the popularity of the Dodgers. There's just some markets where you can't be all that.
No. But you're still in the best TV market in the world, so you never want to leave?
LA is such a good market for everything else.
Yeah.
You have exposure to so many other things: music, entertainment, gaming, everything. I mean, electronics, everything. You have so many things you're exposed to. Plus a great climate, just a shitty tax structure. But, could I see Kawhi in Dallas? Yeah.
Or I've heard...
Cuban would overpay.
Yeah, I've heard some bizarre... but Kawhi's a weird one because as great as Kawhi Leonard is, and he is great, I don't know if he's ever going to be healthy for an entire season again.
No.
So are you going to pay him $40 million a year for the next 2 years, whatever he signs on for maybe you get him in the finals, maybe you don't. I've heard other rumors that, maybe try to flip Paul George for Dame Lillard and bring back Kawhi and Lillard. I think they're all over the place. But, the Clippers have no picks in the future and not a lot of room money-wise other than re-signing Kawhi. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. And then on the other side, if I'm the Hawks organization, I'm feeling pretty good about our 6-game loss to the Bucks.
Yeah, I am too.
Trade.
But you know what you need to go out and get. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think just you get Hunter back, who would have helped you a lot in that series as another perimeter defender, a big long wing. Cam Reddish played really well in that last game. And if he continues, they have a lot of under 25 guys. And I think if you find a way to bring John Collins back on a reasonable deal, and I'm not sure if that's going to be possible given how good he is and how much money he could make. But, you've quieted all the Luka talk because Trae Young is a legit star in the NBA. And I love, the fact that he can go into MSG and be the villain and relish it and have that fun, like, he's the villain, but we kind of respect you, Reggie Miller sort of situation. But if I'm the Hawks, I feel great. I have a ton of young talent. Yeah.
The Hawks are definitely a buy stock.
A buy stock. And now I guess, is the monkey off of both of Paul's and Giannis's back for now, just for making it this far? Would you say?
Well, Chris Paul, all the stats were, he never made finals. So
right.
Made finals. And there's guys that made the finals and didn't win, like Barkley. And so, you transition just into another category. Okay, you're the greatest player that made the finals but never won a ring.
Right.
So now you just transition. So I would say no for Chris Paul. If he wins, then he quiets all the doubters for anything and everything. He's got that, and he's done. Giannis is still, this is his first trip to the finals. He's still a lot younger than Chris Paul. But a team with expectations, a team that everybody thought would be there last year.
Right. And it's a team that, gave up 4 draft picks for Drew, and they obviously don't have a lot of money to spend or a lot of way to bring in other players to improve this roster. So, and this feels like a year, I mean, I want to talk about the Lakers a tiny bit before we finish our NBA talk, but, you know, Denver's going to be back. Brooklyn's going to be back. Like, you look along the board, like, you know, this may be the best chance for Giannis as a Buck to win a title.
Could be.
So who do you like in these finals? Well, who do you like to win, and then who's your sympathetic root for team of the two, or are they the same person? Same team?
Well, for me, it's the Suns because they're also a client. So it's a client, it's a sympathy thing, and I really like their style of play.
Okay.
And, I like the fact that Ayton has turned out to be much, much better than I thought he would be. And I really like his style of play. I think his style of play is very different. And he can handle. I think he'll play well with Giannis. He's much more physical, much more active, much quicker than a lot of the guys Giannis has to match up with. And I think he can match up with him better than other people. That said, I mean, Giannis is a beast.
If Giannis is healthy.
I don't care who's in there. He's going to dunk over him and knock him over.
Yeah. Well, I am rooting for the Bucks, but I think the Suns are going to win. And part of it is, they said Giannis could maybe play in a Game 7. So now I feel like we don't really know what's wrong with the knee. Because, a hyperextension, like they said, that's literally like, I fell down the stairs. Okay, well, what did you actually do? What's the damage? And hyperextension is sort of the same, like, that's what happened, but what's the damage of having hyperextended your knee?
Yeah.
And I almost wonder, it's a 7-game series. If another game of rest is going to do him a lot of good, I'd be tempted to sit him in Game 1 with as well as the Bucks are playing right now.
Yeah, I don't see there's any need. In fact, the Bucks have looked better in the last 2 games than they've looked all year.
Yeah. Well, as we talked a little bit before we got on the air, like, the way Middleton and Lopez and the rest of that Drew plays when Giannis isn't there is the way you want them to play when Giannis is there. And I know it was, a shortened season and everything was kind of crazy coming off the bubble year. So maybe you just didn't have time to, make all the adjustments to get this team together. But you're hoping that when Giannis has been watching this, and hopefully as a team, they're all sort of being like, we got to figure out a way to have the best player, the 2-time MVP, which should just make what we do now unstoppable as opposed to whatever's been happening. But if Middleton is going to go off for, if Middleton's going off for 20 or something a quarter, I have no idea what you do.
I'm really looking forward to watching the series.
And then and then this will sort of bring us to wrap up the NBA, but I wanted to hit the Lakers on the way out. But partially we'll start with LeBron, and he once again is whining about the way the season was, and then Barkley and Shaq are telling him to stop whining. Just standard LeBron stuff. But if you're the Lakers right now, you got a 38-year-old LeBron, who still seems unstoppable, and maybe he'll be one of those guys like Tom Brady that we keep waiting for the wheels to fall off and they just don't. And then you have an often injured Anthony Davis, who is so tantalizing when he's on and when he's playing great. But there just seems to be something, not even just injury, like even when he's on, it seems to me that he's missing some kind of, I don't know, crush you gear, or there's something not there,
Okay.
But now if I'm looking at that roster, we talked about all the other young and up-and-coming teams, what other teams are going to do. Dennis Schroeder said he wants over $100 million. If you're the Lakers, I don't think, you could fit him to the cap, but I'm not sure if you'd want him.
I think he's worth $100 million.
You don't want Andre Drummond back. You don't want Gasol back. And again, if you're building around AD and LeBron, that's obviously, those are two of the best Legos in the box. So you're not upset from that standpoint. But what do you do if you're the Lakers to stay relevant? I mean, you're going to be relevant regardless because you're the Lakers. But like, how do you keep yourself in the championship picture? Because they obviously have no picks either because New Orleans owns all their picks.
No, they're either a free agent or international players. That's the only 2 ways they can go.
Yeah. But they don't have a lot of free agent money.
How much cap money they can jettison to free up to sign, or if they just want to pay the luxury tax. But I don't know how much concentration, I don't know how much work they've done in the international market scouting international players. Like Dallas is very good at it and very committed to it.
Now,
other teams, it all varies.
I don't think he would ever do it the same way, but there is that rumbling that as Harden decided he was going to play in Brooklyn this year, despite his contract and despite them not wanting to trade him to Brooklyn, that if Dame wants out, he wants to go to the Lakers. And he would make it uncomfortable, See how, because Harden has sort of opened the door to, if I make it uncomfortable enough to you, I get to go where I want to go. And I'm not sure if Dame is wired that way that he would actually pull it off. But the one thing we saw is that Harden went from a pariah to a potential he was talked about in the MVP race, and now he's back to being beloved in less than a season after quitting on his team. So it doesn't, that's the one thing I noticed of this whole thing is that, it didn't really hurt Harden. It hurt the Rockets. It probably hurt the Rocket fans. Brooklyn's in love, and if you're Harden, it didn't really cost you anything because you basically had 3 or 4 news cycles of what a jerk, I can't believe this guy, to if he had been healthy, he was going to be first team All-NBA. So.
Well, I call it he learned from Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
He got out. He ended up where he wanted to be.
He did, but he behaved. So he also learned that from not the opposite of Antonio Brown.
Although Antonio Brown behaved when he got there.
He did for a minute. Yeah. Well, I guess the next biggest story, or probably the biggest story.
Before that, there's a huge story today we were talking about. Yeah, it's 4th of July. What happens on 4th of July?
I don't.
Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
Oh.
Will Joey Chestnut win again?
I don't see how he wouldn't.
And I don't see how he wouldn't either. So that's the end of our conversation.
He is.
I wanted to mention today's July 4th.
Yeah.
Nathan's hot dog eating contest and Joey Chestnut.
He is the Jordan of hot dog eating. As good as Kobayashi is, he's more like a Karl Malone. I think somebody showed some stat, and I'm probably going to misquote this, but essentially, that when the hot dog eating, I think it was in the 60s when it started, the winner ate, in the 70s, the winner ate 12 hot dogs. Now the winner eats 70 hot dogs.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's PEDs involved in,
No, it's a skill.
And I guess if there was, that's a perfect transition to our PED Olympic scandal. We'll just hit that real quick because that's a small one. An incredible runner, and she got hit up for a non-performance enhancing drug that is semi-legal in half the states in America at this point. But do you think there's any way she...
Legal.
Yeah, do you think there's any way she gets to participate? Or do you think she's going to get frozen out due to sticklertism?
You got to look at the people that run at the top, and they're old and they're conservative and they're very rigid. So I'm going to say no, even though popular opinion will be very much in favor of her.
And, if there's one thing old rich people love, is money. And one thing that gets money is Wheaties boxes and Olympic coverage. And she's already proven to be someone who transcends her sport and would be a favorite in the medal race. So I feel like there's going to be pressure from that side to try to find a way to get her through as well,
Oh, I think there's going to be pressure. I just don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to cave.
Yeah.
That's just who they are.
And again, without getting into too big of it, just like going back to the NBA all those years ago, it doesn't help you. Most studies have kind of found out it really doesn't help you at all. So it definitely should just be.
It helps her relax, and she's got a lot of stress in her life.
Yeah, but it seems like one of those things where it's just don't test for that one. Test for steroids. Test for all the other performance enhancers.
I agree 100%. It's not going to help your performance. It'll help you afterwards. It helps you cope with an injury. It helps other things. But during the actual race,
it's not making you faster or train harder or train more efficiently. So,
while we're on the topic of old, rigid, non-changing people, which makes me always think of the NCAA.
We're just killing these transitions today.
Yes, we are. The name, image, likeness stuff has just really blown up this week.
It has.
It's been fun to watch. And, the first thing I'm going to say about it is none of this stuff happens if the NCAA has their act together and figures out how to share the wealth.
Right.
There's no need for any of this. But now, this is the genie that never gets back in the bottle.
No.
So this is it. I mean, this is what you're going to have, and there's going to be a lot of unintended consequences with this because, as we've talked before on the show, if I'm a car dealer in Tuscaloosa, I'm going to be on the recruiting visit. I'll be with Saban on the plane.
Oh yeah.
And part of the conversation will be, "And what color would you like that Corvette?" You know, because now it's all above board. It's all legit.
Yeah.
So things that you never thought. I mean, stuff that were all those movies like Blue Chips and everything. Everything that was ever, questionable is now not questionable.
No. And you can have appearance fees for birthdays, corporate events, Friday night parties before a game. I mean, you name it, these players are going to get paid. Which, again,
yeah.
And as we talked about too, like, I wish I had done more research and remembered her name. I knew it before I got on the air today, or the podcast. But the gymnast from a couple of years ago, but she had dropped out of gymnast. She was, came back in, and then I think she was at UCLA or USC. She did her dancing routine. She was all over social media. Like, she could have been profiting quite a bit off her image. So I think,
little things like, people say, well, what about tennis players? They can give lessons. They can have camps.
Camps.
They can do racket endorsements. They can do anything possible.
And I'm sure
everything, even if you're somebody nobody ever heard of, if you get a great personality and you got a great social media account and you do fun things on TikTok, you're going to monetize that.
Yeah, like the kicker from UCF, who ended up quitting football to pursue his social media.
Right.
Because he was so good at social media. And again, this has been one of the. I mean, there's with the myriad of problems the NCAA has. We're not going to get them all today. Like, this seems like the most obvious. And then in other news, they've already planned to, I guess, video game companies have known this is coming down for a while, but there's plans for NCAA football and basketball video games to come back in 2023 and 2024, respectively. Because now you can pay the players and give them percents of sale, just like NFL players, and,
Yeah, and now you can bring back the legendary players and pay them a fee now, too.
Exactly. It's going to open up a whole new thing. And again, as someone that enjoys a good football video game, college football was always more fun than the NFL because you got the wishbone, you got the red field. I forget that team. You got Boise State's blue field, the recruit. I mean, it's, I don't know if they're going to incorporate the likeness and, cars and stuff to recruit in the game, which would be pretty awesome. I don't think they're going to do that because it's probably over the line. But
well, there's going to be little things like, I'm not going to stay in the dorm because I'm going to be the spokesperson for this 40 North apartment complex.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have people are going to come and want to stay in the hotel, the apartment complex where I'm staying at, or athletes are going to be here, and people are going to want to stay there. It's going to be electric stuff. And you can be able to do things that you could never do.
And Jameis will be able to walk out of a Publix with crab legs on his own.
There you go. He'd get paid now.
Yeah.
For eating crab legs. He'd have been Red Lobster.
Exactly. He's not going to have to hide it under the table of like a sneaky, like, yeah, I'm allowed to take these. Just right on the front. And again, I know, one of the concerns is it's going to make things very much like Major League Baseball, where we're going to have a very top-heavy, not that we don't already, but an even more top-heavy.
Well, what you're going to have is you're going to have the schools that are the glamour schools are going to continue to be the glamour schools.
Exactly.
Because now you've just given them another bullet in their gun. But like I said to you, UCLA and USC have been down. But now, given they're in LA, and given the endorsement opportunities in LA and everything else in LA, and the opportunity to be in movies and different things like that, TV shows, I think UCLA and USC could really benefit from this more than a lot of them. They could have a bigger impact on those two schools than a lot of other schools.
Exactly. And then the other thing is even though there's over 100, players on each college football team, eventually the talent will trickle down, and there'll be guys that I think we'll have to see. Like, I think one concern would be with the new transfer rules, if you're not happy with your endorsement somewhere, or you're happy with the amount of cars you're given, if you're just going to be hopping from place to place, or how that's going to take place. But I think it's a step in the right direction overall.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where it goes. But the NCAA definitely got caught with the pants down, and they're just an archaic organization. And and now I want to see what happens with the playoffs. Now they have an excuse they can just keep all the money now if they expand to 12 teams because the players are already getting paid.
Exactly.
So
and the other thing,
we'll see where it all ends up at.
And I think, a real quick tangent back to the NBA. I think the fact that you have 3 top 10 players that went right from high school to the G League in the top 10, maybe the number 1 overall pick in Green. I think the NCAA is like, oh shit, this is not looking good for us.
But you know what? I feel bad for those kids now because now they could have went to college and they could have got paid.
Yeah.
Now they're going to be in the G League. Is that where they want to be?
But I think, in a positive light, I mean, that could, take away from G League players, and maybe some guys will stay in college. Be like, you know what, I could go to Cotton now.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. But you give these guys a mulligan. You get to let them, can they now say, I don't think if they sign a contract and everything, they're done.
Yeah, I think.
Because they're not amateurs anymore. My God, what a stupid term that is.
Exactly. I mean, unless you're currently being paid, aren't you an amateur technically?
I'm an amateur because I've never got paid to play anything.
But I mean, if we take it like the example of, right now I'm between shows. So am I an amateur film personnel person? I mean, I still get residuals from some things I'm in, but, I'm no longer being paid to perform a certain activity.
Yes, but you've been paid in the past, which makes you...
Yeah,
you're a free agent. You're not an amateur.
Yes.
Hockey.
Yeah.
And this has been my year. I'm into hockey more this year than I've ever been in hockey. And I appreciate it, and I understand it better, but I appreciate excellence. And the Lightning are excellent, and they're fun to watch. I went to Game 2 of the Stanley Cup, almost a total full house. Great atmosphere, great plays. I saw one of the best goals I'll ever see. But I actually understand the game now. I used to criticize and say, well, how can you, skate for a minute and then come out? Well, when you watch it, you see how hard they go for that minute and a half.
Yeah.
And you're always trying to keep players fresh. So the only thing I'm critical of now is still what I still call the 2 halftimes. The 2 20-minute breaks.
Yeah, they're a bit long. That and
just too much.
It's the same problem I have with the football or soccer, depending on which part of the world you live in. I don't like the offsides rules.
I don't like the cross-checking rule because sometimes you can kill somebody and there's no penalty, and other times if you put your stick in his back, then it's a penalty.
It's true.
I've always had a problem with that too.
Yeah.
But I'm really impressed with Kucherov being able to sit out the whole year, recover from hip surgery, and be the leading scorer in the playoffs.
Yeah. I
love watching Stamkos. I love watching Brady play. I love watching him. I mean, people that know me are probably shocked that I can talk about hockey like this now, but I really enjoyed this year, and I think they'll win. I think they'll win in 4.
It would have been nice if it was a better series, but as I said last week, we still get a Canadian win on some level because most of the players are Canadian anyway. So.
Yeah. Were you surprised that Montreal didn't let more than 3,500 people go?
A little, yeah, given where we are right now.
How about given where you got 10,000 people on the street?
And given we have
much closer contact than they would be if they were in the state. So while you're saying you can't be inside, but you could be outside. I mean, I realize the outside is safer than being inside.
Right.
But being around that many people in that congested area, I think you're kind of losing your point.
Now, when you went, did they don't check for your vaccination card in going into?
No.
Okay.
And there's no mask.
Yeah.
No, and there's no social distancing.
But there was a pseudo.
Going to a Lightning game was exactly like going to a Lightning game in 2019.
Well, there was a pseudo-positive COVID story. There was a small outbreak of strain D. There was like a 10-person get-together, but the 3 people that were vaccinated did not become infected. So, that's...
Yeah, and there's stories now that Las Vegas is having, since Las Vegas is back to normal, that the infection rate there is much higher than it's been, which is a danger because nobody's probably in Las Vegas. Everybody coming there is coming from somewhere else.
Right.
Which means then they're going to leave with the virus and take it somewhere else. So it's just stupid. We talk about it every week. Get a shot.
Well, I know here in Louisiana, I was vaccinated a couple months ago, but I was still able to enter the shot in a million promotion where they give away $100,000 every week to a random person, and then eventually $1 million to somebody. And all you have to do is say where and when you were vaccinated, and you get to be part of it. So, and I think a lot of states are doing things along those lines. I think Shot in a Million is like a national campaign. So,
Ohio's got it, yeah.
Yeah.
Ohio's like the lottery.
And you figure it's less money, but you probably have given that half the country thinks vaccinations are scary, you have a much better chance of actually winning some money. So if you are vaccinated, take advantage.
There you go.
Throw your name in a hat.
Baseball's sad. I'm getting ready for the All-Star game. I'm excited about two things. One, I'm excited that Adam Frazier from the Pirates, the second or third worst team in baseball, in a small market, could win a starting position with a fan vote. So that, I like the fact that, okay, it was more than a popularity contest. That they recognized this guy was having a great year. They voted him as an All-Star. I like that. The other thing I like is that Ohtani has been given permission by his Angels manager to pitch and hit in the game. And I think baseball is going to want to capitalize on that. I mean, he's the show point. He's the reason you're going to watch the All-Star game. So I think baseball is going to back off the rule that if you take your DH and put him in the field, you lose the DH position. Because they're going to want to have Ohtani get at least 3 at-bats.
Yeah.
So you're going to see some kind of a rule modification just for the All-Star game. And so everybody gets to see Ohtani. And I'm excited about the home run derby with him in it. And I'm really excited to see him play. I'm excited for more people to see him play because he's a really special player.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, I know I told you off air I didn't have a food moment, but then I remembered I kind of do have a food moment.
Okay.
I've been doing a lot of grilling lately. A lot of chicken thighs. Chicken thighs, are taking over because, Wingstop is also having Thigh Stop now.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because of the chicken shortage. But thighs are a great meat on the grill.
I love thighs on the grill.
But the famous Austin place, Franklin Barbecue, Whole Foods now carries their sauce. So I got some Franklin Barbecue sauce. They have 3 varieties. I just got the regular base Franklin Barbecue sauce. It's really good. It's really nice sauce. Good to grill with. So that's my food moment. Franklin Barbecue sauce.
What are the 3 flavors?
They have just the regular. Then they offered a pork sauce. Because as you know, sometimes pork, it's not quite mustard based. I think it's more vinegar based pork.
Okay.
And I forget what the third one is. It just didn't sound exciting. But the base sauce is really nice. It's like $4 a jar. And again, it's considered the best brisket on the planet. So I figure they must make pretty decent sauce. And they do.
Okay. I've got 2 food moments. One I cooked and one I ate at a restaurant. My restaurant is Casa Santa Stefano, which is owned by the Gosmart family, which owns the famous Columbia restaurant in Tampa. And it's a tribute to, it's in Ybor City. And Ybor City was populated by the Sicilians and the Cubans. So Columbia is his Cuban restaurant, and Casa Santa Stefano is his Sicilian restaurant. Phenomenal.
Yes, I've been there.
Grouper Pizziola, which is grouper and a spicy tomato sauce. And the other day I had, what I think is the best meal I've had there, is a lobster linguine with great tomato sauce. And it was amazing. And then they give you really, really good focaccia bread as your bread for your table.
Nice.
But phenomenal. And then my grilling is, I've been into the more grass-fed beef.
Mm-hmm.
And I give you and Dan a lot of credit for that, but I've been into grass-fed beef. And so I've been buying my beef from Snake River Farms in Idaho, which is like a higher grade of Omaha steaks. But
and I had one of those steaks when I was back home.
Double R.
Yeah.
They have their Wagyu and they have their Double R Ranch, which is the grass-fed beef. So I bought this assortment the other day, and one of the things in it was carne asada.
Oh.
It was the marinated flank steak.
Yeah.
And I grilled it on the grill and made it kind of into fajitas, and it was unbelievable.
I'd like to hear that.
It was so good, I don't ever have to go out for fajitas again.
Yeah, I got to try one of those
Really,
steaks.
really good.
It was excellent. And for those that are wondering, when you get actual grass-fed beef, I feel like a lot of times when you get a steak or eat hamburger, you get sort of that logie feeling.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. You don't get Loki. You don't get.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the next day you don't have any beef left over.
No.
It's really the carne asada though was amazing. I've got and I'll be talking probably about what I bought because I bought 2 steak assortments, so I have them for a while. But I can get 2 carne asada and some marinated steak tips, and I got a cowboy ribeye. It's just really a good place to go.
Okay.
It's expensive. I'm not going to say it's not expensive, but to me, investing in if I'm going to eat beef, I want to eat really good beef.
Definitely.
Now I got the entertainment moment because Bosch season 7 came out on Friday, and I watched half of it on Friday and half of it yesterday. There's 8 episodes, and I got to tell you, the seventh season of Bosch was incredible, and I knew it would be. And it's the easiest of everything I ever watched. Is the easiest one to binge because the acting and the stories, because they're Michael Connelly's writing, the acting, the stories, the casting is just incredible. So much fun to watch.
There you go.
And this one, it was a good tease. It closed it out well, and it teased for this new show that's going to have Bosch as a PI working with Honey Chandler, the attorney, and his daughter, who's going to be, is going to be involved in the show somehow as well.
Okay.
But I really, really enjoyed it.
Very nice. Yeah. And next time we talk to you, we'll have had 3 NBA Finals games.
Yeah.
First one's Tuesday night, which is.
And I'm looking forward to it. We'll have a Stanley Cup champion by then, and we'll know everybody that's in the All-Star game because that'll be announced today.
Yes.
And we'll know if anybody came close to beating Joey Justin.
And we are getting very close to regular football news, which is also extremely exciting.
Yes, we are. All right, everybody, happy 4th.